and a reminder to the African leaders that this is a new day, that this is a new game, that they need to re-strategize the manner in which diplomacy used to be handled. That game is over.
This is the journey to One Africa. Hey guys, as you're watching this video, our vision is to reach 500,000 subscribers. Hit the subscribe button, join membership to support our channel, and join Patreon and PayPal. All the links are in the description. Do that to stand with us for this beautiful cause of One Africa right now. We do not forget to sign up for the petition. The link is down below. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
President Cyril Ramaphosa saying, of course, that the recent trip to Washington was a success, and the U.S. president using the meeting to amplify discredited claims of a white genocide in South Africa, while Ramaphosa was criticized by some for not forcefully refuting Trump's allegations. His composed demeanor and diplomatic poise has been seen by some as a good move, particularly for what could have taken place behind closed doors. Let's now speak to Dr.Arikana, who is a Pan-Africanist as well as a former African Union ambassador to the U.S. Doctor, good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time. It's been described by some, including President Ramaphosa, as a successful meeting, while others say it was, in fact, cringeworthy. How would you describe the encounter in the Oval Office?
Well, I think it was a step in the right direction for President Trump to invite President Ramaphosa to come to the White House to discuss issues to do with trade, first and foremost. The other issues that were discussed pertaining to the genocide, I'm hoping that they were secondary to the primary reason why he went to Washington with his team. On a separate note, I view this trip and the treatment that President Ramaphosa received from the U.S. government as a perfect example and a reminder to the African leaders that this is a new day, that this is a new game, that they need to re-strategize the manner in which diplomacy used to be handled. That game is over. This is a new game and it needs new strategy. The manner in which they were treated is a reminder to the African leaders that before you go to meet with President Trump, with other Western leaders, you better make sure that you have a team that is prepared, a team that knows their game, from the political to the social to the economic to trade. I just feel that the team that was with President Ramaphosa was not prepared for what they received in Washington. They could have done better. There were white people in the team who could have refuted what the information that President Trump had been given. When they showed the photographs of all those crosses along the road, who creates a grave site along a highway with crosses so close to each other? By virtue of looking at it, that was not a grave site. And yet, the people who were traveling with President Trump, one opportunity after another, they failed to refute the false information. They failed to protect the president. They failed to clarify the issues of genocide to the American viewers who saw lies being told, misinformation being shared. The people, the team that traveled with President Ramaphosa did not perform well. And if they should have another opportunity to meet with President Trump, we expect them to do better. We expect them to be more prepared. And let this be an example and also something that the other African leaders can look to and say, should we have an opportunity to meet with President Trump, they need to be better prepared. They need to assemble their best negotiators, because for President Trump, it's about negotiations. May the best men win.
I want to get to circle back to what you've just said about being better prepared, and at the same time a message to African leaders in just a moment. But you speak about some of the members in the delegation. They spoke a lot about crime. At the same time, they're calling on the US to expand its investment in South Africa. Does speaking about crime and even the fact that how violent of a society they say we are, does this not deter potential investment into the country?
Absolutely. If you talk about crime, why did they go there to highlight the issues of crime in South Africa? If that was the case, why didn't the team also highlight the issues of crime in the United States of America? Why was that not also discussed? Why is it that we can only highlight crime in Africa and not the crime in the United States of America? There's a lot of crime in the United States, but that was not the reason for the visit. The agenda should have been very clear. There was some digression here where issues that were not part of the agenda were discussed. President Ramaphosa came to the United States to discuss trade and also to justify and refute the false information about genocide in South Africa.
And
we should have
pardon me, Doctor. When you look at what you say, a new day that requires new strategies, go there well prepared and be able to, state your case. How then do, South Africa, in fact, African leaders begin to do this? And I ask because there is a view that at times they go, to countries like the US with a begging bowl and simply not firm enough, not putting their best foot forward.
What the African needs to realize is that President Trump is about trade. They need to see this as an opportunity. President Trump is saying no more divide and conquer, no more regime change. President Trump is bringing in and ushering in a new era that says, let's trade as equal partners. If African leaders fail to come to the table understanding that we have a leader who wants to deal and he will negotiate the best deal that he can for his people, and that you need to come to the table with your best and brightest negotiators and also ready to come up with the best deal that you can for your people. This environment has never existed in Africa since colonization. So if we miss the opportunity with President Trump to negotiate for the minerals, the wealth of the countries, for the better benefit and betterment of our people, it is a missed opportunity. President Trump is coming into trade. He is not playing games. He will play the games. He will do whatever he needs to do to get the best deal forward. Are the Africans coming to the table with the same attitude, the attitude that says we are coming with our best and brightest negotiators and we are going to come up ahead and do what is best for our people? And in our particular case, we are talking about beneficiation of our natural resources to an extent that Africa has never been allowed to do before. Yeah. If we go to the United States and we take people who are not going to negotiate well, just like the team that went with President Ramaphosa, then the joke is on us. President Trump is opening the gates for free trade with the Africans. The real question is, are the African leaders ready to go to the negotiating table with President Trump with facts and come up with deals that are equitable, or are they going to the United States with a ball in hand begging for peanuts? I hope not.
And how much of a coordinated, message, if one can use that word, does Africa need to have going to the US? And I ask because you say that it's time to come with facts at the table, make sure that everything you do is going to be benefiting the different countries. We've seen the continent speaking in different voices on a number of times when there would be conflict here, there would be issues there, and we see what appears to be a fragmented approach as far as the continent is concerned. How much more important now to have the continent speaking in a voice that says we are ready, that says we are now going to be having a unified approach that is going to benefit not only our countries, but the continent as a whole?
Well, the continent, first and foremost, they must realize, and I'm going to say it very bluntly, if there are any members of any administration of an African country that are not Pan-Africanist, that don't think like Pan-Africanist, that are not awoken enough, that are still afraid of white people, to the heads of states, I say, get rid of them. Because if you send those individuals who are still asleep, who are still colonized, they are the ones who are going to be scared. They're the ones who are going to think whatever deal is brought to us by the West is the deal that we should accept. So to the heads of states, I say, clean your administration. This moment is calling for Pan-Africanism. This moment is calling for leadership that says we have an opportunity for equitable trade with other nations around the world. We have an opportunity to begin to lead without outside interference. If President Trump stays with his agenda of trade and not regime change, this is huge for Africa. Let's not miss this opportunity. Get rid of your government administration members that are not Pan-African, because they will not make good negotiators for you. Realize that this moment is about trade. This moment should have been here decades ago after World War II. But because Europe had destroyed itself, they put in systems to steal from the developing nations, especially Africa, to rescue Europe. There was never an opportunity to treat Africa as equals, to come to the table as equals. President Trump, for the Africans, he is creating that opportunity. So if African leaders miss out on that opportunity and get lost in the bravado, the loss is yours. You owe it to the people. Come to the table. Here is an opportunity to reclaim your natural resources for the benefit of your people.
You do have a view by some who are saying that, the U.S. president doesn't see particularly the countries that he undermines as equals. In fact, for him, it is about showcasing how, the Make America Great Again, campaign for him continues, because they say that it looks like this is a president that's seen to be oppressing some, but also looking to be partners with others. And Africa is simply at the bottom of his list. How do you respond to those who are saying that he doesn't see Africa as equal partners?
Actually, I don't think President Trump is doing it because he wants to rescue Africa. President Trump is negotiating the best deal that he can for his people. I'm simply saying, when you look at it, it actually becomes a side effect, a positive side effect, a positive outcome. While he is moving his America First agenda, while he is focusing on trade, it is now also coming up to be an opportunity for the African leaders to hit the reset button and make sure that they take advantage of the environment that's being created, the environment where the leader of the most powerful country in the world is saying it's about trade. End of story. Yeah. May the best men win. The question is, Africans, with this environment, are you going to make sure that you put your best foot forward?
Do we have leaders currently in the continent who can do that?
This is why we are saying you need to wake up and recognize this moment. My biggest fear is people are going to get caught up in the bravado. So 49 white South Africans went to the United States. We have bigger issues to discuss. So are we going to accept and appreciate this moment for what it is? If President Trump can continue to push for America moving away from regime change, America moving away from divide and conquer, and concentrating on trade, this is what we have wanted. We don't want aid, we want trade. Now, when we go to the negotiating table, the question then becomes, Africa, are you ready to put your best foot forward? Africa, have you assembled the best and the brightest negotiators that your country has. Africa, are you ready to beneficiate from your natural resources in a manner that you have never been allowed to do? This is the moment. For me, those two issues, Africa being able to benefit equally from the natural resources, going to the negotiating table on the world stage as equal partners. You see, you have to demand to be equal. But if you go to the negotiating table and you're scared and you are ready to accept peanuts, that's exactly what you're going to get. So this is not about President Trump. President Trump is creating the environment, but now it's up to you to see what you can do with the environment that allows you to negotiate as equals. President Trump is not going to come in and say, well, listen, we're going to be 50-50. No, you have to demand it. He's going to come in and say, I want 90% of your minerals. And if you're stupid enough to accept it, then the joke is on you. President Trump is saying America first. African leaders must all say their countries first. Go to the negotiating table as equals. Second issue that I'm also saying when it comes to President Trump's foreign policy, the second issue of abandoning regime change in Africa, that is huge. Single-handedly, that is what has destroyed African leaders. That is what has made African leaders fail in their abilities to rule effectively. So yes, going to the table as equal partners, and two, abandoning divide and conquer, abandoning regime change. Those are the two biggest wins that I will give to Dr. Trump, and I hope President Trump, and I hope he continues to push the two agendas. And I also hope that the African leaders are going to be prepared for this, for the fight ahead, and for the negotiations that are going to be presented to them.
Thank you very much for your time, and certainly quite a challenge, as you say. Get to the table and fight for equality. Be equal partners. Don't fight to get this, the crumbs, because if you demand crumbs or you accept crumbs, it's all on you.
That's what you get.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. That was Dr. Arikana Chombo-Rikaude, who is a Pan-Africanist and former African Union ambassador to the US.